Hey everyone, happy Saturday. It's been a pretty good one. I've had a video that I uploaded earlier that's been getting quite a lot of recognition. It's quite a few views on YouTube. It's got even more on Rumble for some reason, including someone commenting on it trying to sell me their services. But hey, it's all attention, isn't it? At least there's a chance they may have watched and enjoyed the video before offering the freelance services. So yeah, it's Saturn's Day. Got the purple Member Berries t-shirt. Any of you South Park fans out there? Today has been a bit of a strange one for the fast. It's the hungriest I've felt in a long time. And it's usually fasting doesn't hit me this hard. It's where it's a water fast and it's an extended water fast. What's the day of the water fast? I started on about After doing about 8.5 days of juice, we're on day 13. So it's not 5.5 days, is it? 4.5 days. So 4.5 days. Tomorrow, if I manage to make it through, would be 5.5 days, which is the longest I've managed on a water fast before. I've had that pain that's come back in that area again. So I know that something's being worked on in that area. I know that I've got to stick to this. I've got to try not to overdo it, not to overexert myself. Been getting hiccups and been feeling a bit low on energy, which you can imagine from not having any source of energy coming in other than water. So I think I'm depleting my glycogen stores and possibly at that stage where my body's moving on to breaking down ketones, which is a state of ketosis, which a lot of people attempt to do with a ketogenic diet. It comes naturally with a water fast or juice fast. Actually, with a juice fast, I'm not entirely sure on how it works. I know that I've lost a lot of fat on a juice fast, but I'm not entirely sure that your body starts breaking down the lipids. I know that the body can run on its primary fuel source, which is fructose and glucose. It's something that is checkable on Google. Like, it's not, that's not to say it's true. I mean, anyone could be lying, anything could be lying, but it seems to work, tried and tested. My brain at the minute seems to be located in on anything food wise. I was at a friend's 1 year old's birthday party earlier, and they had a spread of food on the table, and I mean, a good 80% of it isn't food that I would eat anyway. It's stuff that contains meat, cheese, a lot of processed food, but there were little platters of fruit, which had like a sliced kiwi, some sliced melons, strawberries. So a lot of that looked amazing. There was cherry tomatoes and some sliced cucumber, some other salad bits. And it seems like my brain just hones in on these things now. Even getting some things for my partner, snacks that I wouldn't even eat because they contain like milk or eggs, and even bringing back some birthday cake because it's rude to turn down birthday cake, which I'm sharing between my partner and my mum. My partner's going to have the sweet one. My mum's going to have the one that was made for adults, which has got some rum in it. Which, me and my partner don't really touch alcohol anymore, and my partner's not a massive fan of fruitcake. She prefers the sweeter, more childlike um, cakes, I guess, which I used to as well. I understand that. I was on that vibe. I think nowadays I'd probably prefer the fruitcake. It's weird. things take a complete 180 or they get turned on their head. It's something that I first noticed when I started fasting. I used to tell people I was allergic to nuts because I'd get sick of people going out to the shops and coming back with a Snickers, and I look at it and go, oh, great, now I can't eat that. So I used to hate peanuts for some reason. Now, the thing I'm looking forward to most is being able to crack open a tub of peanut butter and sit there with a spoon. It's, it involves a lot of discipline. I forget, because I enjoy the juice fasting so much, I don't really see it as a chore. It's something that I can power through. I'm usually busy anyway, and I'm burning off all that extra energy. Love all of the fruit flavors. But when it's water, there's something there that always feels missing. And your body always feels like it's generating that desire. And that's why it does take a lot of discipline to do a water fast, an extended water fast. I think as well, without the cannabis, if I was able to just smoke, I'd get high and I'd get quite stoned, quite lazy, get to the point where I couldn't be bothered with the food. I'd probably still be hungry if I get the munchies, especially, but I'd already be in a state where I'm content in doing nothing about it. When you're not in that state, so it requires discipline to remind yourself why you're doing nothing about it. Because I'm aware that I've got the freedom. I could just switch back to juices now or go back to eating. Like, I don't need to do the full 21 days. It's something that I want to do because I feel that I'm going to heal this part of my stomach. Now, there is parts of me that are saying, go back to the dark side. There's been cravings this week that have been for foods I don't touch anymore. And I think one of the cravings is just not have to think about it anymore or not have to do the restrictions anymore because I don't really have to think about it. But it's the removal of the restrictions because my body's just craving going back to a time in which there weren't any of these restrictions. I had another vivid dream last night, which was dreaming about the place that I used to work at. It seems like my mind's digging up a lot of things from the past, trying to remind me of who I was. Even the guy that I went to see today, whose son had turned 1, he was a very close friend 24 years ago. It's a very close childhood friend. We've been through a lot together, and we haven't seen much of each other in the past, I suppose, 5 years since COVID lockdown. But we've always been a bit opposites. Like, he's a Pisces, I'm an Aries. Definitely on the opposite side of things. Aries is head in the clouds, Pisces is feet on the ground. And even today, when I was talking to him something about star signs, and he just looked at me, said, "Don't you bring horoscopes into my house." So I replied, typical Pisces. But it's not that it will affect our friendship. I respect him for his way of being. But what I did notice is that my brain was almost feeling envious of the other people there. Or even though I could see that a lot of people had been putting on weight and looking noticeably older, they were all just happy, drinking, munching away on the pick and mix bits. It was the happiness that looked quite calming and soothing. And I think that that's what you end up having to choose between. You've got things that make you feel good in the mind because you're eating them and they're comforting you, or you're drinking alcohol and it's slowly making you feel comfortably numb. And then there's the other choice, which is sobriety or abstinence from the food in order to give your body a chance to heal itself. That requires discipline. That requires discipline I didn't realize that I had been exerting in the past. I've never really found it as difficult as I found doing the water fasts. I mean, the last one wasn't as difficult because I was working. when you're busy working all the time, you don't really have as much time to think. The time when that became difficult was when I was completely out of energy and feeling really sick because I had the pains in my stomach constantly and there wasn't really anything I could do about it. Now I've got the pains back now, they're coming and going, but it feels like it's not always pain. Sometimes it's pain and sometimes it's a tingling sensation in the area, which is indicating to me that something good is happening, that something is being repaired, something is being fixed, or something is being removed that doesn't need to be there. And I have faith in my body. I've still got fruit juice and apple juice in there, so if I feel like I'm struggling too much, I need a vitamin boost, then I will go with that and see if I can get through tomorrow on the water, and then getting past that would be a bonus because it would be the longest I've been without food or fruit juice. And then if I can go one step further and get past the 7 days, that might be all my body can take. It's something I'll have to discover once I get there. And if it is, I think going back to the juice for a couple of days to get the vitamin C boost, and then potentially going on water for another few days because it's still hitting that chance of being able to deal with the damage, get rid of it, repair all of the broken DNA. There is this state that you get to eventually when it comes to deep levels of fasting where you produce stem cells that will help repair and recover your body. There's a lot of mixed arguments about what causes this. There's even mixed arguments about what state your body goes into autophagy. Some people say it's after 48 hours, some people say it's after 23 days. So who are you going to trust? My way of dealing with life, I like to trust myself and the things I experience. So I try to gather as much information as I can, weigh up the risks, and attempt it, and just pay attention to what's going on, try and be as sensitive as I can to what's going on. And if there's any time I feel like I'm in danger, then I'll be able to change what I'm doing, be a bit more flexible. It was like if you go on Google, you type in how long should I water fast? They say that you shouldn't water fast for longer than 72 hours without medical supervision, which is good advice because you need to know what state your body's in as to whether or not you can go without food for a longer period of time. They reckon it's definitely worth doing juice fasting before water fasting and give your body a chance to flush everything out first and not dive straight into the deep end. Other people have dived into the deep end and been fine, but that doesn't necessarily mean your body will. So it is good to work out what state you're in beforehand. That is not something that I did, but I did go slow. I transitioned from first anything goes diet to cutting out a lot of processed foods. Like I gave up chocolates and different pieces that I was aware was bad for me because I could kind of feel it in my teeth. Because my teeth were quite bad back then, and I started getting pains. So I was cutting out Mars bars and things like that that get stuck in my teeth and cause pain. Then I cut out a few other things, like tried to cut out takeaways because I noticed I was getting really bad acid reflux and that wasn't helping my teeth. And that was eating pizzas and McDonald's, and God, I ate a lot of McDonald's, like 3 McDonald's breakfasts a day and then some lunch. It was not a good thing. I never really gained weight from it. I managed to always burn it off. I was busy working, workaholics, us Aries, but ultimately it just runs your body down. It's like you're still doing damage from the inside because the fuel isn't clean. the fuel isn't clean in your car. Like, it's going to be an expensive day one day when you take it to the garage. So, past that stage, decided to try and do home cooking. Me and my partner found a place that was called Farm Drop that used to deliver meat straight from the farm to people's houses. It was a very good company. You could get vegetables and everything else as well. So we were ordering our food from there. It was a bit more expensive, but it was worth the money. The meat came in with blood in it. It was proper meat, and none of this drained and plumped stuff that you get from the supermarkets. Other than that, we were going to Marks and Spencers or Waitrose to get the meat because it's a better quality than you can get in other places. And things did show signs of improvement. And then not long after that, I just wasn't able to stomach meat anymore. I kept looking into the parasites thing and just things started to not feel too comfortable. And then there was other reflections I was getting, like not believing that this was what was intended. It's more of a desperation move. Ideally, you'd be eating things that have sugar in them, natural sugars in them, like the fruits and the veg. Having meat, you're actually relying on the blood because the blood is the life force. That's the animal that has eaten the things that have got the natural sugars in them, like the fruits and the veg or the grass, depending on what kind of animal. So I was recognizing that side of things and not feeling too comfortable with it anymore. I got it into my head that the world was trying to poison us. And I still do think that sometimes, that we're being kept in a slave mode because the food that we're given is very much stripped of anything natural. And when you look at what they're bringing out today with cloned meat, genetically modified this and that, it's just as far as you can get from nature. There's definitely going to be repercussions from that kind of thing. Even that stuff, that Bovia that they're giving the cows to stop them from farting, because ooh, cow farts are the enemy. It's something that is not really tried and tested. They claim that, oh yeah, it's safe, but yeah, how do you really know? One day someone could be seriously struggling with colon cancer and then they discover, oh, it's actually this meat that you were eating from cows that had been given this substance that stopped them from farting. What do you think happened to all of the stuff that didn't get broken down? When you have fermentation inside of you, that's generally something's happening in there. Something's being broken down. There's a chemical process going on, and the gas is a byproduct. And if you don't have that, does that just mean toxic things remain in your system and don't get broken down? Because if that's the case, then more chance of cancer if you're eating them animals. How you like them animals? I'm not saying that people should follow what I do or do the vegan diet or anything. It's just that was the stage I got to when I made the decision. I still think that there is healthy ways of living with eating animal flesh. Just got to be careful in how you obtain it and where you get it from. It's much better if you get it from a loving farm than if you get it from a place that's cooped up loads of animals in cages together, being paid basic minimum wage and not really caring about anyone or anything around them. Just videos of people booting chickens into the cages and pigs eating each other's stomachs open. I have pictures of that, but I'm not going to put them on this video. It's just things that I don't think that you need to see. It might ruin your dinner, but it's worth considering paying a little bit extra and getting from a trusted place if you like eating meat. And saves getting all that cortisol that's flushed into their system, circling around your body, causing more stress. Life's stressful enough. The next stage for me was the vegetarianism, which was okay for a bit because I was able to have my vegetarian breakfast. I used to order vegetarian breakfast with bacon because I didn't really like sausage anyway. Didn't feel like I was losing much, and really enjoyed the salty flavor of the bacon. And then on vegetarian, I was able to go for halloumi instead. That was just as tasty, just as salty. I used to love eating halloumi and crumpets. That was a good combination. Just fried halloumi on top of buttered crumpet. Had a lot of fun being vegetarian. There's some amazing stuff that you can have when you have access to the butter, milk, cheese. And I think I'd probably trust it a lot more if I was able to get from places that I know are definitely not injecting their animals with hormones to get them produce more milk and more eggs, because people that have eaten those have ended up with the hormones circulating around their body and have grown breasts. And this is men I'm talking about. Wouldn't be too sad if it was for women. I mean, yeah, if you're a woman looking to get bigger breasts, I suppose that's an option, but I think that the hormones in your system is not a good thing because your body has to try and learn to deal with that. Like, surely a body that's working would produce the right hormones and the right levels of hormones that it needs. Shouldn't need anything like that from the outside. And then I made the switch from vegetarian to vegan not long after because I just thought it's got to be worth cutting out the animal product and see how I feel. I mean, I say I made the switch. I still drink that uh, orange juice that is vegetarian because they use shellac, and I was eating honey for a long while. I stopped eating honey after I saw a video of how they produce it in the industrial places. I think if you want honey, you need again a loving farm that will make sure that they blow all of the bees off with smoke before they start trying to collect the honey, rather than using the machinery to just scrape the legs off of the poor things and scrape the wings off and have all of the honey just dripping through all of the dead bodies. It's not appetizing in the slightest. So I've laid off the honey since then, but I wouldn't exactly demonize honey. There's ethical ways we can do this. And I made extreme jumps. Then I went more fruitarian based, but I still really enjoy food, so I've gone back since to having cooked meals, having a lot of stir fries because I can use courgettes instead of noodles. So I just spiralize courgette and add that, and then it's just a vegetable stir fry, which tastes amazing. I love the Thai curries. Really looking forward to having some more of those. Had a really amazing mix that went into the Thai hot pot before I started the fast. Also, I'd started eating oats again because we found some whole grain oats that were organic and quite nice. Though I did find that if I mixed them with dried fruits and fresh fruits, it would cause a bit of indigestion. So I don't think that I'm supposed to be mixing them. But I could add salt to make it a savoury meal. I'm looking forward to trying some of them again. Maybe add some peanut butter. I think that would be a nice flavour to go with. Uh, yeah, I don't think that everyone needs to go vegan to have a healthy lifestyle. I think I'm a bit of an extremist when it comes down to it. Aries always trying to ram headfirst into something to break through a barrier, discover something new, and sometimes we just end up giving ourselves a headache or repeatedly banging our head against a wall. Mm. I do subscribe to the idea that where we were put here initially, our food was meant to be of the trees, same as what we breathe in is oxygen, which is of the trees. What we breathe out is carbon dioxide, which aids them. What we eat, the fruit off the trees, what we release as waste, then useful for the ground and the soil to give nourishment. It's not so nourishing if you're eating animal carcass and causing a lot of other things to go into the ground. But even doing that, that would still give the birds something to nibble on. So it's not that nature can't figure a way around it. There's many different types of lifestyle we can have in this free world that we live in. God gave us all freedom, the freedom to do as we want. We also got the option of doing what God intended, but discovering what God intended is not so easy when there's so much information out there. It sends your head spinning in every direction. And what I believe is my belief. It's not really fact, is it? It's always going to be down to faith. So I think when it comes down to food, it's each to their own. What's working for you? What makes you feel good in the body, not just the mind? Because everyone can feel good if they're just eating drugs. And that's what you get with processed food. A high percent of it is drugs. Highly processed sugar is a drug. It's hard for your body to deal with. The amount of caffeine, alcohol, everything else that's pushed out there. I mean, the caffeine to keep you busy and keep you doing your job throughout the week, and the alcohol for the weekend so that you can ruin your mind and feel content with another week because you've been able to blow off steam, delete those IQ bits that were complaining, that were finding problems. So, yeah, I'm a bit of a weird vegan, really. I don't encourage people in an activism kind of way. I think that when I was eating meat, I was fully aware that we are all one, and that I would have to keep coming back as these different animals for the consumption because everything needs to be powered with a soul, and there is only one. That's what soul means, one. And that didn't bother me. I still have my vegetarian breakfast with bacon. Like, if I was vegetarian now, I'd still be eating spinach and broccoli omelets. Probably spinach and mushroom, though I've gone off mushrooms recently. It's another video I saw of a time lapse of someone leaving mushrooms inside a packet and filming it for multiple days, and you saw maggots crawling around in it. It's like, how did they get there? Apparently, there's flies that lay eggs in the mushrooms when they're just left out and growing. So I made a conscious decision then. Next time I eat mushrooms, I'm going to make sure they're deeply fried. Probably will go back to eating them at some point, but going to make sure that they are fried to a crisp. Make sure they are deeply fried before adding them to the rest of the food. Before I'd been putting them in hot pot type things, and it's a little bit squeamish to think about. I know that the maggots had just add a little bit of extra protein, but that's another thing. I don't actually think that you need what they tell you that you need. I think that's some lies and misinformation by the food industry. Try and sell you this rubbish like whey protein powder. Like, literally, this stuff was just going to be thrown in the bin until they found a way to market it to people. And now it's protein shakes. And it's not that people won't be able to put on muscle using these, but I think it doesn't burn clean. It's not a very good fuel for your body, and your body has to work a lot harder. Whereas if you stick to smoothies, that get you a lot further. And don't need to add any supplements or anything to the smoothies. I don't have supplements when I eat food. I like to go for food that contains the minerals that people like to supplement. Like, if you take magnesium or zinc tablets, why not just eat some cashew nuts? They contain both of them and are delicious. They are very tasty. If you're allergic to nuts, I could understand. Maybe it's better to seek them out elsewhere, but there's plenty of things that you can have from nature that would probably be cheaper as well as easier to digest than the stuff that they try and sell you. And when it comes to the arguments against veganism, like, oh, but where are you going to get your creatine? Where are you going to get your vitamin B12 or your vitamin B6? And it's like, where do the animals get it then? Like, if you need protein to build muscle, explain gorillas, explain hippopotamus, explain elephant. Oh, but their metabolism's different. You know that, do you? Know that for fact? Were you told that by someone? How did you run that test? Would that someone that told you have anything to do with a curriculum that might be in favor of a food industry? All these things are possible. It's very difficult to be able to navigate around the food world. And that's what my mind appears to be obsessed about today. Really looking forward to having food again. And once I'm done this bit of healing, food is going to taste so much nicer. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to cut this one here. And thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more.